on, Wisconsin!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. You might have just seen a video that I just released on my visit to Las Vegas for EVCS. It's a long time ago now. It's like 5 weeks, but it took me that long to edit everything up and get it going. But while I was there, I also drove around and wanted to look at the other IONNA locations. Since that's the only one that's open, you know, what else is kind of on their map that has been found in permitting or is already built and just awaiting a transformer. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to look around at what the situation is and then compare it to the Minneapolis and Wisconsin, and you know, to kind of see what if we can kind of learn anything or just see how it's developing there. Very similar up in Minneapolis with their stations there. So yeah, let's take a look at the map. Let's dive in. We see the map here from Plugshare. That's the North Las Vegas one with the video visit. That's the only one open. So then 4th Street, which is kind of in the old downtown area, and it's just a parking lot that has some overgrown grass there. You can see my picture on Plugshare. So East Fremont, this is another one that's kind of on the northeast side of town. Just an empty field right now. It's right next to a small casino. It has a good IHOP that I ate at when I stopped there. So the one on South Maryland is very interesting because right next door there is a 24 stall Tesla supercharger that is open now. And then the one on South Decatur, this one is very close to the strip on South Decatur, and it's also basically complete. So we'll take a look at some of the video there from that location. I mean, it's got everything you would expect to see, canopy and a full rack of Alpatronic HIC 400s ready to be powered up, but there's no transformer. And you know, I'm not a local, so I will go back to the locals and who think that the utility is the one to blame here. And if IONNA thought enough to build it and then took the fences down, probably to open up the parking lot, because that actually looked like the fences were taking up a lot of that Smith's parking lot. And having stopped there and driven around, it's not a giant parking lot, and it was pretty busy when I was there. So, you know, taking the fences down was probably the smart move, but now you've just got a bunch of charging units under a beautiful canopy. Looked like all the disconnect, switchgear, whatever was there. Just missing one big green box, and so that was a little disappointing. But that will be a great location if you are driving to Vegas and staying on the Strip and need someplace to charge. Heck, you go into charge, you go into Smith's, grab you know, your case of water, so it's not $800 of water bill at when you're staying at your hotel, and yeah, you'll be all set. Hey guys, I got to break into programming here as we've got an update from IONNA today. Just today I looked on LinkedIn and they released 5 new sites that are under construction, and one of them happens to be in Las Vegas. So I wanted to make sure and touch on that while I'm doing this whole video about the valley and how it, you know, kind of fits into everything else and everywhere else that they're going to build. So as you can see here, Las Vegas, Nevada, St. Charles, Illinois, which is less than 100 miles from me, so I'll probably go check that one out. Raleigh, North Carolina, Tampa, and Pembroke Pines, both in Florida. So the Las Vegas site with 12 charging bays, of all the ones that we know about in permitting, etc., there's only one that is a 12 stall station, and that is the one on South Decatur. So my take on this is that this announcement is not a new site, but just that they have a transformer scheduled to go in to complete that site because it's, you know, 90% done 85, 90% done, whatever. So, you know, if you can just finish that one off by getting a transformer in there, it's going to be nice, and you're going to be off and going. So as I said before, this is a great spot, very close to the strip, you know, for traveling and people just coming through town to and hang out most of the time on the strip or at the hotels there. This will be a great spot for you. So that's my guess. Or the alternative is that there's a sixth station that just hasn't been found out about yet, which I'm sure will happen at some point. But right now, that is going to be my best guess, where this site on South Decatur is going to be completed, and the other ones will then, you know, kind of move up the ladder. But that is my guess, and hopefully, you know, you guys can judge if I'm right or not as we move on in time. So let's go back to the previous time when I recorded this on the video. So there's another one that is on the build in southern Nevada, and it is in Mesquite. That one's actually in progress, as you can kind of see from these pictures from last month on Plugshare. You can see the plans and stuff. So I usually wouldn't go off of these if there wasn't anything more concrete than a PIP and Plugshare. But when you've got the plans and you've got the approval documents or the permits that are applied for, that's, to me, that says that something is actually happening. So, you know, if you're coming from the north on 15, that's going to be the way that you would use it in town. And as you can kind of see on this spread out map here, there are the other closer one that I was in Beaver, Utah. I was considering driving up to that one, but just didn't feel like it was worth the several hours that it was going to take to get up there. But you know, they're building a cross-country network, so this is kind of what you can expect. So nice, four HIC 400s, 8 cables. Looks like a nice spot right off the highway in Beaver, Utah. You can watch the video from this North Las Vegas location on West Centennial. I was there on March 17th. But nice station, six charging stalls, and yeah, definitely a nice little area where you can get a good, relatively cheap fast charge. There's a smoothie place. There's a bunch of other stuff across the street. There's Walgreens, and so yeah, very, very busy little area of shopping. So that is a good spot up in the north. And then right downtown, or right off of Old Town, I guess, Las Vegas, down from Fremont Street, was this one. And I think this could be a really good site. You know, obviously it's not got anything going on now, and I'm not sure what the permit holdups or you know, where the development is in terms of moving through the process. But yeah, that won't be too bad, especially if you're downtown. This one, kind of on the northeast side of town, looks interesting, where there's got a split canopy kind of on a triangle site that's got nothing but dirt there right now. So yeah, and there are some places that you could walk over to, but Development Services has the project in the hopper, so it's moving, probably just not as fast as we want it to. But I'm sure there's a lot of desert-looking patches of dirt in Las Vegas that you could throw some chargers up. But East Fremont is a pretty busy road, but I think we got 14 stalls, 7 HIC 400s, looked like a 6 NACS, 8 CCS split. Fremont is a busy street, leads to the highway, but it's not right off the highway by any means. Again, South Maryland Parkway is very interesting. 24 stalls of Tesla supercharger, basically in the same parking lot. So we can see the parking lot right to the below that, the site that's pointed out with the red arrow. 7 HIC 400s, 14 space charging, but 24 stalls right south of that in Tesla supercharger parking. So, or supercharger charging. So very interesting that they want to put there. And would you need that many NACS handles if you're just right next door? You're neighboring, probably using the same parking lot to go in and out that you would need. You know, typically you look at the other sites here where there's not a supercharger parked right on the same land, and a split like 60-40, 50-50, whatever, seems pretty good. But I'm not sure if the NACS handles there would get much use if the supercharger is right next door. There's going to have to be a price battle or something like that. Here is the Decatur location, and as you can see, it's ready to go, just awaiting the final charging kind of process. As you can see, that's how close it is to the strip. There's the link, and you know, Encore and the Wynn you can kind of see in the background. So it is very close to the strip, and certainly one that next time I'm in Vegas and rent an EV, that I would certainly head to. Hopefully it's open, you know, by then. So West Flamingo it's right off of. So 1 block off of West Flamingo, and the strip being right there, it is very easy to get to. The Palms Casino was, you know, I saw that on the way. Rio is right on the corner there with 15 and Flamingo. So yeah, very, very good location. You know, it's as good as some of the other spots that I went to there. I had the What's It Look Like video at Caesars, the Electrify America charger. That was fine, but you know, just adding another 12 charging stalls in this area will be a great addition. So in Nevada, I took a look at these numbers, and this kind of was surprising to me. You know, I like to compare other comparable states. So Nevada now has 1,167 charging stalls in the state. Wisconsin has 865. In the last 2 years, both of those have grown. They've increased those numbers by almost 50%. So in the last 2 years, Nevada has added 549 charging stalls. A large majority of those new ones are from Tesla, and a large portion of those Tesla locations are actually in the Las Vegas area. So the thing that's interesting to me, how things like that compare across to other areas. Like Nevada is to California as maybe Wisconsin is to Illinois. Illinois' numbers, they went from that today they have almost 2,500 charging stalls, 2,496. But in the last 2 years, they've added 62.4% of that total. So 1,559 stalls since January 1st of 2024. So a huge increase. Wisconsin added 430 stalls out of their 865, so that's 49%. Nevada, 549 new stalls in that time out of 1,167, so that's 47%. California added 7,500. They have 17,920, added 7,500, which is 41% to their total. So the boom is going on across, and it's just kind of where you're located, the explosion. So here's the Minneapolis area, and we've got, this one is actually in Blaine. It's actually open, but it looks like it's under, well, big improvements. Oh, well, they're putting up canopies across that site. So that's good news, and that's worthy to shut it down. It's so close to the Quick Trip in Blaine that I asked somebody from Quick Trip if, I said, if you told me that IONNA and Quick Trip had partnered to build a site, that would be the one that I would point to, because the IONNA station is right behind the car wash there in Blaine. But it is not to be. But anyway, so they're adding canopies there. That's good. That will be the first. Let me think. None of the other ones in Minneapolis have canopies, so yeah, that's perfect. That's a great new addition. We'll have to see what next time I'm up in that area, if I can get some pictures of it, or if somebody else posts some pictures to Plugshare. Let's see. Nope, these are all winter ones. March 17th is the last picture on Plugshare. So I stopped at this Blaine one, but it wasn't open yet. So I've charged at the other 4 that are open in Minneapolis, and they all are a little bit different, but similar. I'm almost surprised this White Bear Lake one did not get a canopy first, just because it has been open. So maybe it's just easier permitting, etc. But you can see kind of the spread across the Twin Cities metro area of where these sites are. And these 2 are still under construction, or are under a proposal. There you go. So there's actually signs going up. So I would guess that thing is going to start this summer. Looks like it's a former gas station service center that is going to be a rechargery. So that is going to be awesome. That's down in the area where my in-laws live, so I would definitely use that one when driving up there. And this one I almost stopped at in Mendota Heights, St. Paul. Did not make it there on my last trip through, but that's another proposed site. So you can see they're certainly not done on their path to 30,000 charging stalls in the next 4 years. Compare Minneapolis, and then you look at Las Vegas, and I think that's kind of what you could see. And these are just initial builds, right? Like, this is just the start for them. I feel like, maybe in some place like Milwaukee, you could get some. There's definitely things that you can learn, and by what they're doing elsewhere, and see how it kind of compares to what's going on around in our little neck of the woods. So I did go to the McHenry IONNA station. So that was I think in the North Las Vegas video I said that was my 11th one. Well, I did stop at the McHenry one in Northern Illinois on the way back from the Big Ten tournament. And so that was number 10. And video from that is still coming. So more IONNA content for you. And yeah, so let's see. Where else in Milwaukee could we say? I could see some in Whitefish Bay, Glendale, Menominee Falls for sure, Waukesha, Brookfield, Hales Corners, New Berlin, Greendale, South Milwaukee, Oak Creek. I mean, I think they're probably going to put a ring around the city, just like they have in most of the other areas. When will that happen? The answer is yes. I don't think anybody knows that's not in IONNA employed position right now. But we can kind of look outward to kind of see what we can maybe expect coming locally down the road. Hopefully, here's another spot that I want to see them build somewhere along Eau Claire, Osseo, Black River Falls, Hickston. Somewhere in there would kind of fill in their map from Wisconsin Dells to up to Oakdale, or any of the other spots in the Twin Cities. So that's one that, for me, that would be one locally that I would like to see. I mean, aside from right in Madison, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. But I think there's lots of spots up in Osseo that used to be a useful location. But and there are some other chargers going in. There's a Nevi Award up in Osseo. There's a couple at a dealership. New quick charge in Hickston. Black River Falls has several charging stalls. I think there's 17 charging stalls in Black River Falls. So at some point we get to a place in Wisconsin where they are competing against one another. And places like the Wisconsin Dells or Lake Delton will hopefully bring some prices down, increase the quality, so that you're going to get a good charge no matter where you're driving in the state. So hopefully you enjoyed this little comparison and look at the Las Vegas scene. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next charge.